No matter which way you slice it, you look at the top of the East. The question is, where do you want to end up when the playoffs start? Because in theory, you know that there's going to be 4 teams atop the East, assuming these are the top 4 seeds, which are going to be obviously the way that Philly's been playing. They're going to be like in the mix. Then you've got Milwaukee, of course. You've got Brooklyn. You've got Boston. Those are the 4 best teams that are on another level, in my opinion, than the rest. The teams with a true superstar on their roster, right? Philly's got Embiid, Milwaukee's got Giannis, Brooklyn's got 3 superstars, Boston's got Tatum and Brown, who are, I think Brown's on the cusp of superstardom. I think Tatum's already there, in my opinion. Led them to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. That's enough for me to say he's on superstar level, or at least getting there, like super close. And then as for Indiana, you're maybe a little bit away. Sabonis isn't quite a superstar. He's a star, but not a superstar. Trae Young is a star in the making. Charlotte, New York, they're fine. But Toronto right now is in the 9 seed. You do not want to have to face Brooklyn, Milwaukee, or Philly in the first round. Even Boston, too. So how do you avoid them? You can't. So for Toronto, you're staring down the barrel right now of a first-round exit, even if you do make the playoffs. So the question is, when do you make a choice, right? Obviously with the trade deadline coming up, I don't know exactly what the date is, but it's going to be coming up in the next couple months probably. Toronto has to make a decision on what they think this team can be. 26 games in, you're more than a third through the season right now. You're sitting at the 9 seed, 10-13. You started off 2-8, so you went 8-5 over your last games, which is pretty good. It's very solid. So you've got to decide, what are we? Are we a contender? Are we a pretender? Or do we want to tank? There's kind of 3 places. You can be a middle as a pretender, that 4-10 area. Sorry, 5-10, I should say. Because in my opinion, the 4 teams that I mentioned are the only teams that could possibly come out of the East. I would be shocked if any other team came out of the East besides Milwaukee or Brooklyn, or Boston or Philly. I would be absolutely shocked. I actually don't think Philly will be a team that makes it to the finals, in my opinion. I would bet all my money right now, if I had to, on Brooklyn to make the finals and the Lakers. Even with, Utah and Philly atop the standings, I just don't think they're on that same level. And for Toronto, you've got this choice to make, like I said. And the choice actually reflects things that you have to do, moves that you have to make at the trade deadline. Do you say, Lowry, what do you want? Do you want to play for a team that we think isn't going to win the title? Because in my opinion, they're not quite that level. Even with their current roster, playing at their best, they're not a title contender. So the question is, hey, Lowry, what's up, man? Do you want to stay with Toronto? Do you want us to trade you so you can go contend or compete for a title this year? You're 34. You're near the end of your career. You've done everything that we've asked you to as a Toronto Raptor fan. You've done everything, right? You've won a title with us. You've been a multiple-time All-Star. You are going to finish the greatest Raptor of all time. You have over 10,000 points. I'm sure you want to stay, but if you want to go, just say the word and we'll shop you. We'll find a way to trade you to a contender that you want to go to. Do you want to go to Philly? Do you want to go to Milwaukee? Just give us a list of teams and we'll try and make that work for you. Because, he's done everything for us and you just got to ask and be forefront about it. And then you're building around Siakam, Van Vliet, OG, Boucher. You've got a good young core in Toronto, an underrated core at that. And then if you top that off with a top 10 pick in this year's stacked 2021 draft class, and with Masai Ujiri's ability to develop players and make the right selection in this place, and obviously Bobby Webster too, with the Raptors re-signing him, got to give him some respect. He's in that front office too, making decisions, giving as the GM there. So it's a tough choice. It really is a tough choice for Toronto, but you have to choose which way you want to go. You can't just sit in the middle and be like, we'll be okay. You don't want to be the Orlando Magic of the NBA. That's not where you want to be. The 8 seed that gets eliminated in the first round, despite it being interesting, despite you thinking, they have a chance. We saw what happened to Toronto against Boston last year. They're worse than they were last year, without question. I said that coming into the season. A lot of fans didn't think so, but man, they just a little bit worse, And Lowry's a little older. Siakam's been struggling. Van Vliet has been better than last season, but not a ton better. He's still shown some inconsistency. But, man, it's a tough choice for Toronto, and I hope they can make a choice at some point because the inflection point is coming soon. In the next 20 games, whenever the trade deadline is. You know what? I'm going to search up when the 2021 trade deadline is, just so that I can give Toronto a rough timeline of where I think they should be when the deadline comes. They have to make a decision, and it looks like it's March 25th of 2021. So you've got about a month. And so if you're playing about 3 or 4 games a week, you're looking at about 6 weeks. You're looking at about another 15 to 20 games. So Toronto's got another probably 10 games, 15 games to make a decision on where they are. If over these next 10 games they struggle, they have a tough record. Like I said, they have to play Milwaukee twice, Philly twice. If over that stretch they go, 5-5 or 4-6 or even 3-7, then Toronto's got to really consider departing from some of these guys, selling their players that can help championship teams, and then fully diving into this rebuild. Because Toronto's honestly like a catastrophic injury away, knock on wood, of course, from just being out this season. They need all their guys healthy. They need OG Anunoby back. If he comes back soon, he's already been ruled out for the game against Memphis, but if he can come back soon before we have to take on a team like Milwaukee or something, that would be amazing for Toronto, because then you can test out your full healthy roster against the best in the East. See what you have. See if you have beliefs that you can make it to the finals, if you make maybe a move or two. But, in my opinion, I think the season's close to becoming a wash. And I hate to be the pessimistic Raptor fan, but there is nothing wrong with being mediocre. That's true. But at the same time, you'd rather pick up a nice draft pick, trade some of your assets, and then build a better team for next season, because, Lowry could end up walking this year at the end of the year, and that would suck as a Raptors fan.